Good morning, Little Masters, and welcome back to today's Tolkien Times. I'm the Man of the West, also from the Prancing Pony podcast. Let's keep week 69 going with another Word Nerd Wednesday. Now, this series, I'm doing something a little different for Word Nerd Wednesdays, choosing to unite all 8 weeks under a single theme. In this case, the names of the Valar and Maiar, and maybe some more Valinorian stuff if time allows. After looking at the names of Manwë and Ulmo in week 67, last week we dove into the word nerdery for Aule and Orome. This week we're going to start by looking at the brothers Námo and Irmo, better known by the names of the places where they do their things, Mandos and Lorien. Now, like we've done with the other Valar, let's take a look at what we learn about them in the Valaquenta, found in the Silmarillion. The Feanturi, masters of spirits, are brethren, and they are called most often Mandos and Lorien. Yet these are rightly the names of the places of their dwelling, and their true names are Námo and Irmo. Námo the Elder dwells in Mandos, which is westward in Valinor. He is the keeper of the houses of the dead, and the summoner of the spirits of the slain. He forgets nothing, and he knows all things that shall be, save only those that lie still in the freedom of Iluvatar. He is the doomsman of the Valar, but he pronounces his dooms and his judgments only at the bidding of Manwë. So, let's start with Námo, or Mandos. We'll get to his younger brother later. Actually, we're going to take a second before getting to Námo to look at the name that the text gives to the pair of brothers, the Feanturi. It's a plural compound made up of the element Fea for spirit and the suffix tur for master. We've spoken about the Fea before, or the plural Fear, and we've also seen that tur suffix, Elros Tarminiatur, first ruler, Falastur, king of the coasts, and Turambar, master of doom. So that's the Feanturi, the masters of spirits. And now let's start with Mandos's proper name, Námo. Eldamo.org, one of my go-to sources for names, goes really, really deep, so be sure to take a look there if you want the full development. The TLDR version is that Námo is Quenya, and it's variously translated as judgment, judge, or ordainer. And given his role as the keeper of the houses of the dead and the summoner of the spirits of the slain, it's a name that makes good sense. But it's the name Mandos that we'll spend a bit more time on today. Mandos is also Quenya, and we get a direct translation of that in Morgoth's Ring, in one of my favorite stories in the history of Middle-earth, the Athrabeth. There it's said to mean castle of custody, from mando, meaning custody, safekeeping, prison, duress. Now, we've looked at this element before, or at least at its cinder incognate, band, as in Angband, the hells of iron. The other element is, once again, familiar because we've looked at it in previous episodes of the TTT, Osto, meaning fortress, stronghold, strong place. We see that in names like Formenos, northern fortress, Armenelos, city of the kings, and Ostoher, city lord, the seventh king of Gondor. All those words have this same element. Now that means that the man in both Mandos and Manwë are not related. The man root in Manwë, as we talked about before, is good morally, blessed, holy, while in Mandos' name, it's part of the MBAND root, mband, meaning custody or prison. Interestingly, though, in the etymologies in the Lost Road, we read about one of Mandos's epithets, Mormando, or Dark Mando. Now, it's the counterpart to Manwë's epithet, Kalamando, or Light Mando. And now I'm seeing them in a buddy cop movie as Mandalorians interrogating a prisoner. Manwë shakes his head. You take over now, Dark Mando. Anyway, in this... In this epithet, we lose the band root for prison custody, and instead we actually do use the man root for good, blessed, or holy, since it's a counterpart to Manwë. Now, I should add that in the translation into Old English that Tolkien made, Mandos is called Nefrea, corpse ruler, and a name that I will not even bother to try to pronounce that means master of the houses of the dead. Now, let's move on to the little brother. Irmo the Younger is the master of visions and dreams. In Lorien are his gardens in the land of the Valar, and they are the fairest of all places in the world, filled with many spirits. From the fountains of Irmo and Este, his wife, who we'll get to in a couple of weeks, all those who dwell in Valinor draw refreshment, and often the Valar come themselves to Lorien, and there find repose and easing of the burden of Arda. Irmo is another Quenya name, of course, they all are, and is usually translated as Master of Desire or Desirer. His role, instead of being the warden for the prison of the dead, is as the master of visions and dreams. Now, when important events in the history of Arda are preceded by visions or dreams, it's often thanks to Irmo's workings. Though not always. It seems clear that other Valar can give dreams. If you'll remember, Ulmo laid dreams upon Turgon and Finrod, and they built Gondolin and Nargothrond respectively in response to those dreams. But Irmo is the dream master. The place he abides is, well, let's just say it's a bit more pleasant than his brother's abode. Instead of being the warden of the halls of the slain, his gardens in the land of the Valar, well, it says it right there, are the fairest of all places in the world. So, yeah, nice place to work. Now, the name of these gardens, Lorien, consists of two elements. The first is Lore, or dream. It's not a particularly common element, though we do see it in The Lord of the Rings when Treebeard is speaking of Galadriel's land to Pippin. Laurel and Doran and Lorendor Malan or Nellion or Namalan, he hummed to himself. Now, in Letter 230, Tolkien explains the elements that he jumbled together. Laure, gold, not the metal but the color, what we should call golden light. Endor, nor, land, country. Lin, lind, a musical sound. Malina, yellow. Orne, tree. Lor, dream. Nan or Nand, valley. So that roughly he means the valley where the trees in a golden light sing musically, a land of music and dreams. There are yellow trees there. It is a tree-yellow land. I love that. Thank you, Professor, for explaining what Treebeard meant by his rambling syllables there. For now, though, folks, we are out of time, but next week we'll look at the last of the Valar, Tulkas, and he who is no longer counted among the Valar, Melkor. But that's it for today's Word Nerd Wednesday. Come back next week as we wander the wide, wild, wonderful world of words weekly on Wednesdays. And if there's a word you want to know more about, just let me know. Email bartleman@theprancingponypodcast.com. Please visit patreon.com/TolkienTimes to learn how you can support the show, get an ad-free feed, a monthly hangout, bonus episodes, and a lot more. And then join me again tomorrow for today's Tolkien Times for Third Age Thursday. Now, this is Past Future Alan coming back to make a change to the episode. Those of you on video can undoubtedly tell that from the mismatched clothing. Now, you may have seen or heard the exciting news last week that soon, but not quite yet, the Prancing Pony podcast is going to be back on YouTube as I begin my new streaming show, The Prancing Pony Podcast Plays. Now, in the meantime, since I'm going to be combining all four of the PPP Productions content into one YouTube channel, I want to consolidate social media as well. So please be sure to follow @PrancingPonyPod on Twitter, or X if you want to call it that, Blue Sky, Instagram, and TikTok. On Facebook, we're still at the Prancing Pony Podcast. And finally, as Faramir says, go with the goodwill of all good men.